Good morning, good people. It is Wednesday, October the 6th, 2021. This is Wake Up with Ray G. We did it right today. I did not forget the countdown timer, but we got to get right into something because as we were getting ready to go live, Jordan starts freaking out and he's like, don't check Twitter. There's something that just happened. I have no clue what it is. I haven't been on Twitter. I'm not looking at the comments right now. So, Jordan, first of all, I got a good morning to the good people. Thank you for tapping in and joining us. Jay, how are you this morning, and why are you telling me that I cannot look on Twitter? What is going on?
I am so excited. You see me wearing the Red Sox jersey. We beat the Yankees last night, but apparently Boston can only have one good day. The next day turns over, and something has to happen. And what happened this morning, as of 6 minutes ago, Adam Schefter just reported that Stephon Gilmore is released from the Patriots today and is now a free agent on the open market. And he's eligible to come off the pup in week 6. Oh, shit. You got some crazy feedback right now.
I got feedback. Stephon Diggs is what?
No, Stephon Gilmore. Stephon
Gilmore is released?
Yeah. Oh, man. You got to fix your mic real quick. What's wrong
with the mic? Hold on. Oh. Is that better?
Nah, not there. Now you're good.
Okay. Stephon Gilmore got released?
Yeah, he got released this morning. Eligible to come off the pup in week 6, and he just got straight dumped by Bill Belichick.
Oh, what happened? Like, what?
Bro, I don't know, but how does he not end up in Tampa? There is no situation where he doesn't end up in Tampa. We're talking about a defensive player of the year, 2 years ago? And now he's going to be, oh my God, man. The Bucs are just so lucky. This could not be a better situation for them right now because Tom's going to recruit him. He's going to want to play with Tom. He wants to win more Super Bowls. Oh, this is just...
That's
we were talking about how maybe they won't make it back. But
yeah.
They're gonna make it. They're gonna make it now if they get Gilmore and they get.
Okay, now I gotta check. Now I gotta see what's going on. So we had a crazy Patriots are releasing 4-time. I don't even know what to say.
There's nothing to say. What are you gonna say?
Financial and injury considerations in play. Wow. This is it says the Patriots move on from their star QB amidst frustration over several months. So there's been some issues over several months. I'm seeing people say the 49ers, the Chiefs, the Bucks, the Cardinals should be interested. I think my Dallas Cowboys should be very interested in Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the Cowboys should be. So let's just go into that. So Dallas yesterday, they released Stephon Gilmore. Now I'm just like Dallas released Stephon Gilmore.
Jalen Smith.
That it was a lot of people were like, Ray, are you shocked? Jalen Smith has been bad for a very long time. He has not been good for 2.5 seasons. Was I shocked that they released him? Yeah, in a way, because he provides depth, right? He's an athletic linebacker. He's actually transitioned more to like a kamikaze type linebacker, just fly in there, blitz it right away. But the emergence of Micah Parsons, the emergence of Keanu Neal at outside linebacker, and then they drafted Jabril Cox, the standout defensive linebacker from LSU, played at North Dakota State. I don't know. He wasn't good. He wasn't playing. If you go back to last week, he didn't play a lot at all. Hasn't been good. So I'm shocked, but I'm pretty sure that I just don't know why they released him. But this Gilmore news even trumps that. So now you've got Jalen Smith out there who, for a contender, right? If Kansas City was like, we want Jalen Smith, dude, all you need to do is blitz and wreak havoc up the middle.
Yeah.
Just disrupt plays. I think Gilmore, man, this is and it's already week 5 of the NFL season. This is the
week 5.
So he can be back in 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks. He can be on the field playing.
Yeah, well, I'm curious how this works with the pup because like he's not on a team now. So is he still on the pup, or could he just theoretically sign for somebody and play if he wanted to? I don't
Yeah,
really understand. I'm not really sure how that
I
works.
think you're on that joint for like the 6 weeks, regardless of what happens. I don't think you can like be on the pup like week one and then just magically come off the next week. I don't think that can happen just because you shift to a new team. So I think he's still on the pup for those 6 weeks. But this is big news, man. So you talked about your Boston team not being able to have nice things back to back days. Y'all did get a good win last night. I watched the baseball game, watched the whole game because you told me to, and you were pumping up the Yankees yesterday, saying the Yankees were going to get it done, and the Yankees got smacked. Man, it wasn't very riveting. I mean, it was good action from a Boston standpoint, but the game wasn't so good, man.
Yeah, I know. It was interesting because I was aware of Garrett Cole's struggles when it came to Fenway Park. For whatever reason, he just doesn't play well there. It is what it is. But there's a big difference between the postseason and the regular season. A lot of players do play up in the postseason. Some players play down in the postseason. As I mentioned, Garrett Cole getting paid $324 million to win a game like we saw yesterday, and to really just shit the bed is it tells you a lot about him. Again, it's only one game, but he's gonna be under scrutiny for the next 5, 6 months from New
He
York
gave
media,
up.
which is
He
not
gave
gonna be
up.
easy.
He got 6 outs and gave up 6 runs. So
No,
somebody
no, no. He
said
gave up
six.
three.
Yeah,
He gave up
I
three
know, I
runs.
know,
Three
I know,
runs.
I know, I know, I know. Six
But
and
yeah,
six sounded better.
it was bad. It was pretty
Yeah.
bad for Garrett Cole. Only pitched 2 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Oh, it was bad. But on top of that, the bats couldn't get going either. You
Yeah.
saw Judge and Stanton were Stanton was great. He was 3 for 4, one double, but should have been two doubles when he almost hit it out and it died in the outfield. And then he hit the home run in the ninth. But it was just a bad effort overall from the Yankees. Like Anthony Rizzo hit a home run, which was maybe going to get them going in the sixth inning. Just didn't really happen. But the real star of the show is Nathan Eovaldi. For a guy who has had multiple Tommy John surgeries, for a player who has been kind of cast off, had to come back. He was just lights out from the very beginning. And I talked about his struggles in the previous game against the Yankees, how they really got to him. His changeup wasn't really working. His fastball command was awful. He just couldn't get anything going. But in this game, he was lights out from the very beginning. He just knew everything he had to do. And Cora is the MVP of the whole roster. If there's one thing that no one can really refute, it's that Alex Cora makes this team as good as it is. And his plan to beat not only the Yankees, but the teams going forward is the reason why he won a World Series in his rookie year. I don't know how many managers have won a World Series in the rookie year. If maybe he's the only one, I doubt it with how old baseball is. But he's the guy that sets that team apart from other teams. He's the guy that really makes the difference when their personnel doesn't always dictate that difference. The Yankees are way better on paper, better bullpen, better batters, more power. There's lots of reasons why the Yankees are better than the Red Sox, but the separator is Alex Cora. And you saw the mental mistakes from the Yankees time and time again. They got going in the sixth inning, and then Stanton hits a double. Aaron Judge runs into an out at home plate. Again, great play by the Red Sox, but ultimately Judge could have stayed at third base. Third base coach was kind of indecisive, and then you saw the same thing happen later in the bottom of the sixth or the seventh, except the Red Sox scored that run, and that's what took it to 5-1. So you look at the difference in the management, and that to me kind of made the difference. And it doesn't always make the difference in baseball, but in this game, it kind of did. And while the Red Sox played a great game, pitching was phenomenal. We talked about the bullpen not playing so well. They were lights out yesterday. They only allowed 2 hits. One of them was a home run to Stanton in the ninth. Didn't really matter. And the rest of the game, they were basically lights out. Not a whole lot of pitches, very efficient. No walks from the bullpen. I think only one walk from Eovaldi or no walks from Eovaldi. So that was a big thing in itself, because if the Yankees get on base, that's when they start to rally, get guys going, and when they start
So
walking,
let me
they start getting big hits.
let me ask you this. I saw a tweet or some commentary about Joe Girardi getting fired after having to deal with like a dumpster fire. They're pretty much
Yeah.
saying Aaron Boone, with this expensive roster, he should be gone. If Joe Girardi got
Oh yeah.
canned for dealing with the roster that he was working with, Aaron Boone should be out of there for the Yankees. Do you agree with that? I mean, are they going to be looking for a new manager?
Oh, absolutely. It's just the Yankee way, right? They have more talent than is required to win a World Series, but they need a scapegoat. There's no excuses, right? They have to blame somebody for this, and it's going to be Aaron Boone more than likely. He hasn't managed very well in the past anyways, so I don't think there's a real reason to keep him on the roster, and I think that he's probably going to be gone, yeah.
So I've got a couple of questions. One is probably a more easier response to have. Like, I'm watching that game. Stanton hits that bomb that hits the Green Monster, right? And in my head, because I'm not a baseball purist, I'm a fair weather fan. I admit that. I don't care. But I'm thinking, shit, any other park, that's a home run. Like, and that changes the whole complexity of the game. But I know that works both ways, right? Because the home team could hit it right into that wall and it bounces off. I mean, but if they were in Yankee Stadium, does that go out? Is any other park, is that a home run?
So you're talking about the second one. The first one
Yeah,
actually
the
that he hit in the
second one.
first inning, I thought that was going out. And when that died, I was texting a few people. I was like, hammer the under because the wind is swirling the wrong direction
Mm,
today. And then in the bottom of the first inning, Xander Bogaerts hits a fucking rocket to center field, which is one of the toughest places to hit a home run, period, in baseball. But you're talking about Stanton's second one off the wall
yeah.
where it was deep left center field. That they were saying is a home run in 11 of 30 ballparks. So whether it's a
Okay.
home run in Yankee Stadium, hard to say because Yankee Stadium is actually pretty deep in center. But yeah, a home run in 11 of 30 ballparks, but not unfortunately in Fenway
Yeah.
Park. Would have changed the entire complexity of the game. That I think at that point it would have been 4-3 because Aaron Judge was also on base. But again, like I talked about the mistake, Aaron Judge also ran into an out on that play, and that did
Yeah.
make a bit of a difference in the complexity of that game because they
So
would have had Joey Gallo up with only one out.
So my next question is this, because I've never played baseball, right? Like the most I've done is gone to a batting cage, and then you set the speed at like 50, 60, and I'm just whiffing every time. I played football, ran track, played basketball. Never played baseball. But in football, as a defender, you can make a predetermined like thought. You can be like, I'm going to like in mid play, you can be like, I'm going to try to annihilate this guy, hit him high. I'm going to go for a form tackle and just make sure I get him to the ground. If you're throwing the ball, you can be like, I'm just going to rifle this thing in there, or I'm going to use some touch. In baseball, do batters approach the hit and say like, I'm going to hit a home run right now? Like I'm going to swing for a home run. I'm going to swing to just get on base. Like, is it the same thing, or does it just sort of happen? Like, do you just kind of make contact and you hope it goes out, or when you approach the batter's box, do you have it in your mind like I'm swinging to blast this one out, or I'm just swinging to get on base?
Well, I think that most batters would admit if they're swinging for the fences, although you can see it from time to time. Part of what goes into that is the actual count itself. So in earlier counts, when it's maybe 0-1 or 0-0, you may see a bigger swing from a batter trying to hit that big play, that double, that triple, that home run. But talking more about the actual approach of the plate, what a lot of batters do is that they have the scouting reports on the pitchers and they look for certain pitches. And that's when you see the miss really bad, it's because they're looking for another pitch. Pitches they can recognize pitches based off spins, the way it tails, certain things. But if you're looking for the wrong pitch, you're going to be caught lacking real bad. And so that's part of it as well, is picking a pitch or a couple pitches or a zone to look for the ball and then going and attacking it that way. It's kind of like picking a
So are
gap
you
in football
so
if you look at
are
it
you
that way.
guessing? Are they not guessing, but they're just
They are
anticipating?
guessing.
They're
Yeah,
like,
they are
I
guessing.
think
They're
I
guessing pitch or they're
right.
guessing location of a pitch, period. And that's kind of how they approach hitting. So let's say you're looking fastball and they throw a changeup. Changeups look like fastballs and then they die at the end. And that's when you see them swinging over changeups because it has the same action, the same angle, just different velocity, and then it dips at the end. It may tail a little bit, it may dip at the end. So a lot of the times that's when hitters get fooled really badly, is because they're looking for the wrong pitch and they get caught slipping a little bit, and then
Man,
they swing thinking it's a fastball, it's a slider, changeup, something like that. But yeah,
I
you're
think
you're
it's.
really kind of guessing
Do you
as to
think
what's
it's the
coming, but it's
hardest thing?
educated guess.
Do you think it's the hardest thing in sports to do is to hit a baseball? I've had this conversation with my friends because
Absolutely.
I think you can take a baseball player and you can give them, 10 shots from the 3-point line and they may hit, right? Hell, me and you might go out there and hit an NBA three. Maybe not in game,
Yeah.
but I just mean standing there, you might hit a three. Catching a football, or I don't know, maybe just catching a football. Like we can all catch a football. But I think if you take football and basketball players and tell them to hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, I don't know how many of them, outside of the ones that have baseball experience, I don't think you can just take the average Joe and tell them to go hit, hell, even a 70-mile-an-hour pitch. I think it's the
Yeah.
hardest thing in sports to do. I'm just amazed at how good they are to be able to do that, man. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, it's definitely the hardest thing to do, period. And you're talking about fastballs too, which for the most part are relatively straight. They do move a little bit, but imagine guys who can hit home runs off sliders, off sinkers, off curveballs. Like that's another level of hitting where you have to be so good to do something like that. And we're talking about a barrel that's, maybe or it's like 3 inches thick, and you're trying to hit a baseball that's about the same size versus just, putting a ball through a 14-inch hoop or a 13-inch hoop, whatever the size of the hoop
Yeah,
is. Definitely
it's
by
crazy,
far
man.
the hardest thing in sports to do.
All right, well let's shift gears to basketball for a minute. Well, let's shift gears to basketball since we're talking about hoops and this whole thing with Kyrie Irving and all the NBA players potentially missing games and having their NBA teams accommodate for them not wanting to get the COVID vaccine. I saw Andrew Wiggins say he was forced to get the vaccine the other day. He was forced to get it. And right now, Kyrie Irving is adamant that he will not. He says he and his family do not believe in any type of vaccination. The Brooklyn Nets have yet to confirm. There's reports about potentially, Brooklyn looking to trade Kyrie, but Kevin Durant not wanting that to happen. What are your thoughts about this NBA policy? I mean, the season starts in what, like 2 weeks? The NBA season kicks off. What are the Nets going to do with Kyrie? Because I believe they are the favorite to win the NBA title this season with a healthy James Harden, Kevin Durant. What is going to happen with this Brooklyn situation, man?
I don't really even know. Like, what are we gonna see happen with the Nets? Because you look at Kyrie, and it's funny because you have Andrew Wiggins, who's not a really good player. There's the
Yeah,
difference between the star players and the pretty good players. And Andrew Wiggins is pretty good, but he felt forced to get the COVID vaccine because there's a lot of pressure from the Warriors, a lot of pressure from local markets, and them telling him like. And the NBA policy is you will not get paid if you don't have the vaccine and you can't play. So if you don't have the vaccine, you can't play in your local market, you aren't guaranteed a paycheck. So Andrew Wiggins is like, well, I'm not sacrificing
yeah,
upwards of probably
yeah,
$15 million
yeah.
just to
I ain't
not have a
doing that.
vaccine.
Yeah,
Kyrie's got a little bit more money, a little bit more cachet. He can kind of do what he wants, a little bit more of the flat earth society that he's a part of. We'll see. So we're talking about Kyrie Irving and what he's going to do. The Nets, I think, are going to be fine. We'll see what happens come postseason time. That's when they need him much more. Regular season, who cares? They can win 60 games with James Harden and Kevin Durant. They can win 55 games with James Harden and Kevin Durant. So I'm not as worried about now. But the problem is that Kyrie is going to be dug in about this. He's going to be adamant that he doesn't want the vaccine, and he's probably not going to waver on that. And how does Brooklyn treat that? Because the biggest problem right now is that he is not going to be allowed to play in Golden State. I don't know if he can play in LA. I don't know what the policies are in LA if he's going to be able to play there. But we know that he can't play in San Francisco because that's the issue with Wiggins is it's a local rule, and he can't play in New York. So he can't play against the Knicks, and he can't play for the Nets in Brooklyn. So he can only play road games. And that's just kind of a problem, period, because that limits him to what, maybe 40 games this season, because we know he's going to play the Knicks a couple times. He's going to play the Warriors in Golden State at least once because every team plays in every arena every year. So I'm not really sure what to make of it. You're the Nets. I think you kind of have to just hold out hope that maybe he changes his mind or that the world turns to where he will be allowed to play. And I think that's the game the Nets are going to have to play, is that at some point things are going to get better and policies will open up again to where maybe Kyrie is allowed to play, and it's just currently the policy won't allow for that.
yeah. I don't see that happening, man. I mean, why are they gonna start off with rules one way to start the season and then flip them, just because it's the playoff time? I think whatever it's set at to start the season, that's what it's gonna be. This is a problem for Brooklyn because my thing is this, and you're saying they don't need him for the regular season. If they play well without him through the regular season, tossing him, we've seen this happen in NBA with NBA teams, tossing somebody in that's a ball dominant guard midway through or towards playoff time, that may not end well for the Nets. And it's not on the show sheet, but the DeAndre Ayton. I said this to a couple of people during the NBA playoffs. I don't think he's a max player. I said I think he's going to get max money because everybody's getting max money. But contract negotiations between the Suns, DeAndre Ayton, and the franchise have stalled. I thought he came up real small in the NBA Finals, real small. To be that big and not really do anything, they were almost better off not having him on the court sometimes in the NBA Finals. He's going to get his bag because, again, Duncan Robinson got, what, $80 million? So I don't blame
91.
not
He broke the record. He broke the record for an undrafted free agent contract extension. Yeah, it was 91 million. He broke Fred VanVleet's record.
Why couldn't the good Lord just bless me with like another 1.5 feet of height, just so I can go out there and stand there and just why?
How tall would you be if you had a 1.5 feet of height? Would you be like
Dude,
7'2"?
I'd be 7'9", man. I'd be 7'9". I'd be 7'7". I don't know. Math is not my strong suit. I don't know what I'd be, but I'd be in the fucking NBA. I know that. I would definitely be in the NBA. But instead, I have to do this show every morning with you just to make ends meet. So there goes my life in a nutshell. But yeah, DeAndre Ayton's, I don't know. I just want to throw that out there. Contract issues with DeAndre Ayton. NBA season is right around the corner. Let's talk about football real quick. I want to talk about a little bit of football. And David Montgomery, thank goodness, Monty, he's not done for the season. He didn't tear his ACL, but he's going to be out 4 to 5 weeks, which will lead us into, like, I just want to talk a little fantasy this morning. Like, I want to talk a little fantasy football. I want to talk to you about a trade that I made yesterday, Jay, and I want you to tell me if you like the trade that I made yesterday, okay? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So I traded away Jamar Chase, and I got back Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Terry McLaurin.
Oh, what?
Do you like that?
I love that. What?
Okay. Yeah, man.
Man, that's crazy.
I love Terry McLaurin. I tweeted it.
Crazy.
I did not expect this tweet to get as much steam as it did, but I said there are only 4 wide receivers in the NFL that I would take over Terry McLaurin, and the backlash, as you can imagine, was just crazy. And I said the only wide receivers that I would take over Terry McLaurin are CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, and who is it? CD, Tyreek, Jefferson, and DK Metcalf. Those are the only 4.
Wow.
And I'm even a little bit iffy on DK. I think Terry McLaurin is a top 5 dynasty wide. He's so good, man. He's so good. And he's playing with such shit quarterbacks. Like, he's so good. He's so good. And people are like AJ Brown. And I'm like,
yeah, that's the name that bothers me the most.
My issue with AJ Brown is he's already in his 3rd season having multiple knee issues, and he's a big dude. Like he's a big wide receiver, man. Just the multiple issues with his knees concern me just a little bit, man. I'm looking at this computer screen, but you're on the other side of me, so it looks like I'm looking away from you, and it's bothering me.
So, okay.
All right,
I get
now
the trade.
I'm looking at you.
The trade is fantastic. Love the trade. You know I'm a big Terry McLaurin fan. If there's one receipt that I'm very proud of, it is Terry McLaurin. Across my Twitter from the beginning of time, Terry McLaurin's been there. He was my 3rd round target back when he got drafted in like 2018 or whatever.
Yeah, you were a big
He's
Terry
a little
fan.
bit older. He's a little bit older.
He's 26.
So that's really the only issue for Dynasty.
I don't care about that, man.
To your point, he deserves DeAndre Hopkins type comps because of what he deals with from a quarterback perspective. And that to me is the greatest equalizer, is when you have a player who can produce at this level to this magnitude with the quarterback play that he's had, it deserves respect. It deserves a ton of respect. And that's one of the things that happened with AJ Brown was he was doing so well with Marcus Mariota, doing so well with a guy who people wrote off in Ryan Tannehill. Now Ryan Tannehill is a little bit more respected, but Terry McLaurin is doing it with Taylor Heineke and all these guys. Well, I'm saying, but AJ Brown still got it done with those guys, period. And that's what vaulted him so far up the ranks. Now, I do think that DK Metcalf could be ahead of Terry McLaurin because I love Russell Wilson. And so that's the thing, is that I think talent is very similar. Russell Wilson is a big difference. And from the very beginning, I've always said DK Metcalf's career will be in some parts made by his quarterback. And that can be said for a lot of wide receivers, right? Devontae Adams, not made by Aaron Rodgers, but helps a lot, right?
Hey, helps a lot. People forget early Devontae Adams was not, he was a little shaky, man. He was when he was like a, young player out of Fresno State and he was still battling with Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson. It was a little rocky there for Devontae Adams for a couple of years, and then it all started to click and he developed into the top wide receiver in the NFL. But I mean, the big responses for my tweet and people saying Terry McLaurin's not top 5 were AJ Brown, Jamar Chase. I think it was AJ Brown and Jamar Chase were the 2 names And here's the thing. When you say this on Twitter, you have to know that the first comments aren't going to be like, I agree. It's going to be like, well, what about? Well, what about?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I hate those guys. Like, I didn't mention Devontae Smith. I didn't mention DeAndre Hopkins. That doesn't mean I dislike those players. I just, in my opinion, I think Terry McLaurin is a top 5 dynasty wide receiver. He's that good. He just turned 26. So even if I'm getting 5 years of peak Terry McLaurin production, if those 5 years help me win 2-3 fantasy championships, I'm good. Like, they're not going to be on the pantheon forever, regardless of the age. And you don't know what's going to happen, man. Like, how many times have we seen players start their career off money and then shit happens and then they're gone, right? Like, I'm living for this season and the next season, right? I'm not living for 10 seasons down the line, because the chances that I have Terry McLaurin on my roster for the next 10 seasons are slim to none. The chances that you're going to have A.J. Brown on your roster for the next 10 seasons, slim to none. I'm looking at a 2-year window, and right now I stand by what I said. And I'm even, again, if you told me, all right, Ray, take DK Metcalf out and put Jamar Chase in, or take DK out and put A.J. Brown in, fine by me. But Terry McLaurin, in my opinion, is a top 5 dynasty wide receiver who's priced as like wide receiver 13. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's somebody you don't have to pay a top 5 price for, but you probably can get top 5 production over the next couple of years. And in my opinion, he is a screaming value still. Like, I still don't think people are hip to Terry McLaurin like they should be, dude.
No, 100%. And that's where, like, Terry, and I told you this, I think, last offseason, that Terry's price was starting to get a little bit more expensive, and I wasn't sure if it was going to match up with his production, because, again, the quarterback play is still a question, has been a question for a long time, but he's been silencing those critics this year. Taylor Heinicke is a fine quarterback. He throws the ball a lot more than I ever expected him to, but Terry's still producing at an extremely high level, and you have to give him a lot of credit for that. And that's why I do kind of agree with you. I think top 5 is definitely in the realm of possibilities for Terry. I don't know if I would quite have him there, because, like, even for me, I would still take a guy like Tyreek Hill, who you didn't mention. Like, even in Dynasty.
Yeah, Tyreek. I got Tyreek in the top 5.
Okay, it was Tyreek. Okay, so then you left out Devontae Adams, because you had Adams, Tyreek,
I left out
Justin Jefferson.
No. I had Jefferson, CD, Tyreek, and
DK.
And DK.
Okay, so you left out Adams, Hopkins, some of the older.
I left out Adams, Hopkins. I think all those guys. I think Nuke's like 30, 29. Calvin Ridley.
32.
Heavens
no.
Heavens
no.
That's
tough. That's tough.
No,
that's tough because
no.
Okay. Okay, but Ray.
No.
You know that Calvin Ridley is really good.
I didn't say
that he's really good.
I didn't say he was really good. There's no world. Ooh. Maybe in the multiverse, maybe in Marvel's MCU universe, in another planet, in the alternate timeline, Calvin Ridley's top 5. But in this timeline
it's
right
just
here,
because of Matt Ryan, though.
I don't know if it's
Arthur Smith, man.
I don't know.
You know me and Calvin Ridley. Like, that's one of my dudes. But
set your biases
I
aside.
Just cannot. I cannot stand watching this offense. I can't stand watching this offense.
Calvin Ridley's not top 5. I don't think Calvin Ridley is top 10. I would not have Calvin Ridley in my top 10.
Come on.
I would not have Calvin. I don't give a shit about talent. Donovan Peoples-Jones is top 10. Talent.
Well, come on.
I don't care about talent.
Okay, then what about Deontay Johnson?
No.
See,
because after my 5 that I've already named, then there is an A.J. Brown. Then there is a Jamar Chase. Then there is a Devontae Adams. Then there is a DJ Moore. That's 9 already. Calvin Ridley and Deontay Johnson ain't inside that 9. They're not inside that 9, and you know it.
All right.
You know it.
It depends, because Stephon Diggs, another great name. Great name. But I wouldn't put him in there either. He's not even playing that well either. But I think, it's I like Terry McLaurin. I like Terry McLaurin. You know I do. What?
You said you wouldn't put Diggs inside the top 10?
No, I'm fine keeping him out.
You're fine keeping Diggs out of the top 10?
Yeah, why not?
Like he's wide receiver 11 and below?
Yeah, why not?
Or 11
You just named 10 guys that are
No, I named 9. Stephon Diggs.
Stephon
Diggs is top. Stephon Diggs is 100% top 10. 100%.
Okay, Well, you just said 100%, but you almost left him off the list. So how is he 100% in?
I just was rattling names off the top, but Stephon Diggs is 100% a top 10 dynasty wide receiver, 100%.
Okay. I mean, Dynasty is different. He's what, 29 now? So it's probably same age as Adams?
He's 27. He's actually 27, I think. I'm speaking in absolutes.
Josh Allen, right? Josh Allen needs to get him the ball. That's the problem.
He's
like, I don't know what the hell is going on.
He'll be 28 this year. The point is, Calvin Ridley is not a top 10 dynasty wide receiver. Deontay Johnson is not a top 10 wide receiver in dynasty. And Terry McLaurin is 100% locked and loaded inside the top. If you don't want to have him top 5, fine. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with me, but he's 100% a top 10 dynasty wide receiver. 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
All right.
I'm cool with that.
I don't know how we got there, but we talked about DK Metcalf tethered to Russell Wilson, and we do have a game kicking off tomorrow night. It's the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams head north to face wait a minute. Hold on. I'm seeing slanderous comments about me. Ray is wilding out here. Wait a minute. What did I do? How am I wilding out? What did I say that was not factual? What did I say? How am I wilding out? What did I do? Tell me, Jay. What did I say that was blasphemous?
Am I the one in the comments? Look, you're entitled to your opinion. We disagree a little bit. It's nothing crazy. I don't think you wildin'. I mean, the top 5 Terry it's bold. It's bold. I think there's a lot of variance from 5 to 10. So to be that bold, go for it.
He still has the stink of a 3rd round pick. He has the stink of the Washington football team lathered all over his body. But if you're just talking about a receiver that you just trust every week to get it done, and when his situation changes, because his situation will change, again, he's a top 5 dynasty wide receiver who is priced like a wide receiver 15, wide receiver 14. I would take Terry McLaurin over all of those dudes, man. He's that good, man. He's that damn good. But back to the Thursday night game. Rams, Seahawks, Rams, Matthew Stafford, Russell Wilson, Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf, Chris Carson not practicing because of a neck injury. The Rams are favored by 2.5. They need to win by a field goal. Do they get it done this week, Jordan?
Hell yeah. Come on. I want to know your thoughts on the Rams right now, because last week they looked terrible. They looked like the worst team. They've looked like probably the Jared Goff LA Rams, if you just want to put it in complete blasphemous out. But Matthew Stafford was the problem, and I want to know if you agree with that it was a Matthew Stafford issue and it wasn't so much a personnel team issue last week against the Cardinals.
Matt Stafford made some really good throws, man. I mean, I just think the Cardinals were better. I think the Cardinals just had a better game plan. I watched that game last night. I rewatched that entire game, all 22 version of that game last night. The Rams did a lot of good things, man. They were able to run the ball early. Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson ripped off some nice runs. I thought Matthew Stafford threw some good balls. Arizona was just unstoppable. They couldn't stop him. Like the Rams defense, if Aaron Donald doesn't get to you, Jalen Ramsey's going to erase whomever for the most part 9 out of 10 times. But after that, man, that loss of John Johnson is starting to show up a little bit. I think not having John Johnson back there in that safety in the defensive backfield hurts. I'm not going to say they look Jared Goff-esque, but I think they just got beat by the better team, man.
So I do think they got beat by the better team, and I agree with you about the game plan, but I did see a lot of missed throws from Stafford, and that was part of the problem, was that he and it was uncharacteristic, so I'm not going to put too much stock into it. He's had a bad day, but that's the reason why I think he'll rebound against this awful Seahawks defense. He had a bad day, and that happens from time to time, and the Cardinals' game plan was great. But the Seahawks, again, one of the worst defenses in the league, one of my favorite targets in DFS every single week. Couldn't use them last week, even though I did play some Deebo Samuel, which worked out. But they're allowing 25 points a game. They're dead last in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game. They're 5th worst in terms of passing yards allowed per game. And they've played the most plays on defense in all of the NFL, which means that the teams they're playing against play a lot of offensive snaps. And that's great for fantasy points. That's great for point totals. That's great, period. And to only have 3 points, even on the road in Seattle, I think that the Rams can get that done on Thursday night.
All right, so our boy Hunter Stewart said, y'all got any player prop locks for Thursday? I'm just going to tell you right now, at this point, this is the lock of the century. I just, if you would just blindly have just bet a unit every week on Russell Wilson, has he exceeded his over yet on pass attempts?
No, I don't think he's even come close. Let me look right now.
I think this 35 and a half pass attempts, he's got to throw the ball 36 times. Now, a small thing coming into play here is the fact that there is some doubt about Chris Carson's availability. And if Chris Carson is unavailable, that could force Russell Wilson to throw a little bit more. This Seahawks defense is very bad. The Rams could get out to an early lead, forcing Russell Wilson. I'm just trying to paint the story to see how Russell Wilson hits the over. Thursday games, man, it's interesting because you don't have a lot of prep time in order to get ready for the game coming off of a Sunday matchup. I would be smashing the under on this. And it's not even I think I have locked it in on my Prize Picks bets. I already have the under Russell Wilson pass attempts. Completions. So, it kind of like goes in hand with this because they don't have pass attempts, but they do have completions. And the under on Chris Carson's rushing yards. And now that could get negated. That could get negated if he doesn't play. But what I think is going to happen is Chris Carson's going to be active. Alex Collins looked really good last week.
Yep.
If you are unmarried, find you a man or a woman who loves you the way that Pete Carroll loves Alex Collins. Pete Carroll has single-handedly put money in the family food on the table of Alex Collins and his family because Pete Carroll will not quit Alex Collins. He loves him some Alex Collins. I got to go back to see if he tried to recruit him in college. I know Alex Collins went to Arkansas. I just got to see if Pete Carroll tried to recruit him at some point in time because he loves Alex Collins. I think Alex Collins is going to play a lot. So I would be taking the under Chris Carson rushing yards and the under Russell Wilson pass attempts. Jay, has he hit 36 pass attempts this season?
No, he's got a max of 32 2 weeks ago against the Vikings. But to your point, and the reason why I'm very nervous about this number is because I think the Rams are going to get out early. Like, they are going to be getting out early, and that's not good for a passing yards prop. And while I'm with you, I think this is one of the locks of the season, and I was shocked to see this number only at 35.5. But I think part of that is game script. For the whole season, I think we saw it 37.5 once, but it's been mostly 36.5 for the first 4 weeks. Now 35.5 because he hasn't really come close to hitting it. Last week he only had 23 pass attempts in a game that they did end up winning, surprisingly. But the thing with Russell Wilson this whole season has been efficiency, but his efficiency has gone way down. First 2 weeks of the season, he was averaging 11 yards per attempt, not per completion, per attempt. And then it went down to 9.3, and last week it was 6.48. I don't know how you feel about the Rams, but I don't think they're going to give up the big play. And so I think with that being said, they're either going to run the ball, the Seattle's either going to run the ball, or they're going to dink and dunk. And so that's where I'm not really sure how to approach this game because Tyler Lockett on top of that has looked terrible. Like, he's looked terrible. But if there's one game script that makes sense this week, it's Tyler Lockett going off because DK Metcalf is going to be matched up with Jalen Ramsey. I don't know exactly what his splits are against Jalen. I'd have to look them up, but I don't believe they are very good. I think for the most part, Jalen takes advantage of him. Although I think it was last season, DK did beat him on a post route for like a 60-yard touchdown. But I think outside of that, for the most part, he's been locked down. So I'm kind of leaning the Lockett side, but I don't know if it's a lock, but I will stay in the flames with you. I just think game script could make it closer than I want it to be.
Okay, so over the past 2 years, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So since 2019, he's had 12 games over 37 pass attempts since 2019. And then if you go back to 2018, he hit that number 1, 2 times in 2018. I mean, you're getting about like 3 Russell Wilson pass attempts over 36 pass attempts. You're getting about like 2 to 3 of those a season. So you're not getting a ton of it, man. I mean, it's picking the game script And if your story, we always talk about make sure your bets tell a story. If your story is the Rams get out early and they jump on Seattle early and they're up 14-0, 21-0 early on, which I do like now that you're talking me through it. I do think that's a very realistic outcome that they get out really early and it forces Seattle to try to stay in the game. This is a division game. Seattle cannot lose this game. If they lose this game, what do they fall to on the season if they lose this game?
I believe they'll be 1-4, right?
They got two wins. They got 2 wins this year.
Oh, it's they won last week, yeah.
So they'd be if they lose this game, they'd be 2-3, and that would be they'd be 1-1 in the division because they did beat San Francisco.
Yeah.
I guess it's not a must win, but they probably need to win this game. They need to win this division game. This is an interesting game script now that you talk about it. And Hunter, I don't know if I would lock that in just yet, because if the story that Jordan is telling or painting comes to fruition, which I do think there's a good chance that that the Rams just get out early, then they're going to be forced to throw the ball. If Tyler Lockett is active, which it looks like he's going to be, DK's playing, Alex Collins in, no Chris Carson, maybe and Gerald Everett is back. Gerald Everett is back this week as well. It's just something that I don't like, man. I mean, shit. Now you got me nervous because I got that 2-leg parlay in on Prize Picks, and you got me nervous as hell. But he's got to get those completions, and that's where Russell Wilson. That is the more interesting line, or is completion totals. Do you have that for Russ? We got pass attempts, but what about completions?
I believe it's 24 and a half. 24 and a half. So that's where it's it's interesting, because if he's dinking and dunking, then maybe he hits that. But to be honest, that's still pretty high even for Russ. He's not completing too many passes. He hasn't hit that number yet. His highest on the season is 23, but he does complete about 70% of his passes. So if he does get that 35, 36 number, he's probably going to go over 24.
I've got a good prop that I like. Alex Collins, I see right here on FanDuel, plus 210 just to score a touchdown.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good juice right there. Plus 210 to score a touchdown, and he had one or two last week.
Yeah.
Again, if Chris Carson is out, I kind of like Alex Collins. I think I'd lay half a unit on Alex Collins just to get in the end zone. I don't think that's a bad bet at all, man. I mean,
it's pretty good. He got in the end zone last week. He's looked really good. He looked good in preseason. I don't think they're going to skip a beat on offense from a running perspective. But the number I really want that I can't find right now is Darrell Henderson's rushing yards. Because last week I was really in on him because, again, Arizona's terrible against the run. Playing now Seattle, another team that's terrible against the run, I just think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for him. And he's going to be active. He was active last week. But for some reason, they don't have lines out for him yet. They're not sure kind of how to place him. I think he'll fall somewhere around 65 to 75 yards. And I think that could be an easy beat for him. He's looked a lot better than I expected. And Sean McVay continues to give him the majority of the workload. And I think that he's going to be smashing overs this season until that the books finally catch up and realize he's good. Because Matthew Stafford will throw the ball a ton. We can talk about Cooper Kupp and his over 85.5 receiving yards. But in the same breath, the Seahawks have allowed a 100-yard receiver every single game this season. So why am I not staying in those Cooper Kupp flames? No, it didn't work out last week. The team looked a little bit out of sync. But I think there's going to be a lot more opportunity out of the slot on the sidelines for Cooper Kupp to expose this terrible defense. Robert Woods may do some things, and I don't mind Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson's over-under is 44.5, although I do think he'd have to hit a big play to get that number. But you never know. But Cooper Kupp I think he's locked and loaded for 100. I'd be taking the over all the way up to 100 if I could get like an alternate line somehow where he has to go over 100. I would take that. I just think it's a guaranteed thing. I just think it's a sure thing. Julio Jones went over 100. Justin Jefferson went over 100. And then in week 1, I forget who it was, but I think Pittman went almost over 100 on the Seahawks too. So you look at kind of what happened, but outside of week 1, where the Colts are just a terrible franchise, there's really not much to say about the Colts. There's not a whole lot going on there other than Michael Pittman. But the Vikings exposed them. Deebo Samuel, again, what did he have, 150 yards or something crazy like that? A busted play, but he still got 70 on the rest of the game. So I just think Cooper Kupp is locked and loaded for 100. This Seahawks defense just isn't gelling very well. They're not playing well. And more importantly, they're not going to be able to hold down Cooper Kupp. and his over under for receptions is 65. Oh no, 6.5, and I think he can smash that over too. And then the other one that I want to go after is Matthew Stafford's passing touchdowns. Over 2.5 is plus 150, which I think is pretty good value for 2.5. I think he can do that pretty easily.
That is pretty good value. I want to look up Matt Stafford's rushing, what his prop is for rushing. I have been money on the QB rushing props. Like,
but do you think he'll be as desperate this time? Like you saw last week, he was desperate for those yards.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So right now, so Prize Picks even gives you a little bit better. They've got 5.5. DraftKings has 4.5 over under. I'm taking the under because of the game script you talked about. I don't think he's going to have to run. I think he'll be able to sit back there all day and just dice Seattle's defense, rush the ball with Darrell Henderson, and I think his under rushing yards. I know 5.5. Oh, it doesn't seem like a lot. I don't think he's going to have to run the ball. I think they're going to run with Darrell Henderson and Sony Michel. He's going to have time to throw the ball. Seattle's pass rush is non-existent. So why would Matthew Stafford have to risk it on a Thursday night? Throw the ball, get it out. I love Cooper Kupp. I love Cooper Kupp. Like, I'm with you. 80, 85.5, 84 and a half yards for Kupp. Give me the over on Cooper Kupp. I want the under on Matthew Stafford's rushing yards. And I'm betting this. Like, I'm not just saying this. I will put this on our bet tracker, and I will put juice. I will put action on these bets that I'm talking about. I like Alex Collins. Plus 210 to score a touchdown. All Alex Collins has to do is get in the end zone. I think plus 210 is incredible value on a player who probably is going to see majority of the workload in that offensive backfield. I like Alex Collins. It's just a fun little prop, right? You don't have to put a lot of action on that, but just a little something to maybe double your money. And anything else? What's DK at? Does DK and Lockett? What do they have? Because
so
the Rams
DK
get out early,
has 70 yards, right? Okay. And then let me see what Lockett is. Lockett's probably a little bit higher. But I was looking up their splits on top of that because, Jalen Ramsey and DK have had a matchup now, I think 5 times or at least 4 times. And so Lockett's at 64.5, which is a lot closer to his total against the Rams historically, where DK is about 60 yards, so his over-under is 70. We'll see. This is one of those games that Jalen plays up for. It's not like he's going to be excited about this game. He likes to play against DK. He likes to play against, like, DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know how many yards he had, but he got pretty much shut down last week. I don't think he had a great game. But, yeah, DK has talked about his games against Ramsey and how hard they are and how difficult it is to play against him. And Ramsey will play up to that. And so if you want to take the under against DK, I'm fine with that. But maybe you go over for Lockett to compensate because we know those guys kind of correlate and they kind of one goes off, the other one doesn't go off and kind of just works that way.
Well, if Ramsey's going to lock up DK, do you feel good about DK's over? Like, would you rather go with Lockett? And, right now, Lockett, 66.5 yards. What was his injury? What was Tyler Lockett's injury?
I don't even remember. It kind of just was.
I have no clue what it was. If it was an ankle, if it was back, I don't know what his injury was. But I'm trying to.
It was a hip injury.
Man.
That's tough. Maintenance.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to complete the story, right? If the story that we're painting today is the Rams get out, Seattle's got to play catch up, then we should be smashing some overs for the Rams and probably some overs for the Seahawks, right? Like, I think we can agree. This is not going to be a defensive battle. This is not going to be. Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll see.
You never know, man. Thursday nights, they've been all over the place. We thought we were going to see it. They've been good games. Yeah, they've been really good.
Every one of them, from the Giants football team, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Jaguars was good. The Cowboys Bucks was a good Thursday night game, and I think we're in for a good Thursday night game this week. The bets that I really like, honestly, are Stafford's under his rushing yards, Cooper Kupp over his receiving yards. I like Alex Collins as an anytime touchdown scorer. And one other, Robert Woods. There's a lot of the squeaky wheel gets the grease. There's a lot that Sean McVay is saying about getting Robert Woods more involved. It's his fault. They need to get him going early. I think his reception total is at 4.5 right now. Over under 4.5 receptions for Robert Woods. What do you think about, do you have enough courage to take an over on Robert Woods getting some volume this game?
Do I have enough courage? Wow.
Yeah.
That's tough. You're questioning my manhood. And do
No,
I
no,
have
no,
the
no, no.
courage to stay
This
in?
is it's not directed at you. I'm just saying, like in general, do you have faith in the coach
I do
speak that
not.
they're going?
It's just
Okay.
truthfully, I do not. I would rather target Deshaun Jackson to score a touchdown at plus 375. I talked to you last week
Ooh.
about do we want to stay in those flames with Deshaun Jackson, assuming
And
he
I
gets
said
more
no.
involved.
And I
And
said
you said
no.
no, and you were right. But it's again the short week, and we know that Seattle is susceptible to the big play. We know that, and so I think we're going to see it some more. And some more context for your Matthew Stafford prop on the under. He's the least sacked quarterback in the NFL right now. So he's not getting hit. He's not getting touched. He's getting the ball out quick. And he's not going to have any issues against Seattle. I think that's a really good prop to make. He's been negative rushing yards 2 games this season. It was really just last game that he was desperate and ran for 21 yards. But I don't expect that to be a weekly thing for Matthew Stafford. He's pretty much a statue back there most of the time.
Dude, Cooper Kupp has 5 touchdowns this season.
Yeah, he's tied with Sam Darnold.
Would you take Cooper Kupp? What's he anytime touchdown scorer? What's Kupp? It's got to
Let
be
me
like
see.
plus 170. What's it? Plus
Minus 118. It's not one you want to target because it's just there's not enough juice for it. Like you'd rather just go after someone else. I guess we'll see. We'll have to talk to our boy Giles and see if he likes Cooper Kupp anytime touchdown. To be honest, it's a pretty good bet. Like chances are he's probably going to score, and I think that the juice being on him more likely to score than not is correct. Like if the bookmakers were somehow giving you plus money on Cooper Kupp scoring a touchdown, that would be a gross misprice. But yeah, Cooper Kupp anywhere from 85.5 to 88.5 on FanDuel. I would be smashing overs because he's probably going to go over, and I think he's going to have a massive game against the Seahawks.
Man, you got me.
We'll see about Woods though.
Let me just ask you: if you had to pick one or the other, Cooper Kupp over his receiving yard total, or Cooper Kupp over to score a touchdown, which one do you have more conviction in?
I would actually probably take his receiving yards over because there is slightly more juice for that. And I think that's why I would choose the receiving yard over, because you look at the touchdown, it's minus 118 on BetMGM, but minus 130 on FanDuel. So FanDuel thinks there's a pretty damn good. I figured you're doing a parlay.
I'm on Prize Picks right now, so I'm just trying to. The juice is irrelevant for me on Prize Picks. I just need him to do it. I just need him to do it so I can get my payout. I don't give a damn what the juice is at. I just need him to do it. But I've got Cooper Kupp over 84.5 receiving yards, Matthew Stafford under 5.5 rushing yards, and I need one more.
It's too bad because I want to tell you, I wanted to bring this one up because I think it's a great prop and I think it's great value. But Russell Wilson to throw an interception is plus 140. In a game where if we think he's going to force it, right? We think he's going to have to force the ball a little bit. He may just, mess around and throw a pick. But another prop you want to go after, we're all about the rushing QBs. Can he rush for 20 yards in this game?
I know. This is the one I've been struggling with because, right now I am, and we got to get this up because right now I am literally 6 for 6 on QB rushing props. Like I'm 6 for 6. Not a lot of juice on any of those, so I'm not gonna lie. I've not put a lot on there because I just wanted to test my theory out. What's Russell Wilson? What's my theory?
20.5.
20.5.
He's hit 20 twice this season. But Kyler did hit his over. Remember, we got some pushback from who was it? Was it Stone in the comments telling me that Kyler wasn't gonna hit his over?
No, he hit his over. No. It was Evan who said he hadn't hit that versus the Rams.
Yeah, pushback. Yeah, right.
We had pushback on that one. And then Jordan said, Ray, weren't you just going to bet rushing QB? Yeah, I meant yes, except for on Prize Picks. I can't just. I need more. I need more. But when I put in when I actually put in actual bets from a sports book, that's all I've been doing is rushing props for quarterbacks. But Prize Picks is a little different because the juice doesn't matter. You just need them to do it, right? The line doesn't matter. You said Russell Wilson has hit 20 in 2 of 4 games so far?
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me see this right. Let me figure this right.
No,
he's hit 26 last game, but he's only hit 20 in 1 game so far. So he's only hit that number in 1 game. It was last game.
The thing with Russell Wilson is he can get that on 1 scramble. You know what I mean? He can get that
and
on
again,
1 scramble.
he does it when he's behind and he has to run to keep his team in the game. And I think these are the situations where sometimes he can't hit it. You think about it a little bit, and I'll see if I can find his splits against the Rams to see how often he runs.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I have. Honestly, I don't want to just throw stuff out there, and I don't even have the courage or conviction to bet it. So now for me, what?
He averages in 11 games against the Rams 32 rushing yards. That's not bad. That's pretty good as far as his splits go. I mean, that's on his career. So, he rushed a little bit more when he was older. I can, make those splits a little bit closer so it's not. This is from 2018. Let's go 2020. From 2020, last season he averaged 40 yards. In 2019, 35 yards. Man, he's rushing for more yards against the Rams than he is against other people. So, I think this is pretty damn good if you ask me.
Okay, I've got it locked. I've got a unit on this. On Prize Picks, I've got 1 unit. I've got Russell Wilson over 21.5 rushing yards, Matthew Stafford under 5.5, and Cooper Kupp 84.5 over.
What are his pass yards? Because he averages 215 pass yards against the Rams.
275.5.
I don't think he'll be that bad. Not 215 bad, but he could be. He averages also 17 completions the past 3 games he's played the Rams.
Well, his pass completions are 24.5.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if the splits play their way out. But I think, like we talked about, the Rams will get up early, and I think Russ will be fine. I don't think he's going to struggle too much, but in the past he has struggled. 32 attempts, 70 completions, 1 pick, 1 touchdown, 215 and 40 rushing yards are the averages over the past 3 games.
Add these to the sheet. I locked them in. Cooper Kupp over 84.5, Matthew Stafford under 5.5, and Russell Wilson over 21.5. I only need 2 of those things to give me something, but I need all 3 to hit. So place entry. It's locked. It's in. 1 unit on that 3-leg player prop parlay.
You and your 1 unit bets. We need to start managing your risk here a little bit because you frequently just throw a unit out at stuff. We need to just tell the people when you're parlaying you want to juice it down a little bit because you're getting the juice on the parlay. It's just a little bit economics, but I know you like to hit those big scores, so sometimes we just chasing rings out here.
YOLO, you only live once, baby.
Your
bank account can stay broke forever, so I probably need to do a little bit. Hey, this was a fun show. We got it working again. It's on the Twitter, Jay. Good stuff. Tomorrow we're gonna dive into the rest of the NFL slate. Hopefully more player prop lines will be out. Go put in bids for Damian Williams. Go put in bids for Khalil Herbert. Who else should we throw some waiver wire bids in for?
I think Max Williams could be good. He's tight end 13 right now, and I think he's a guy. I got him for free in a league. People were on Dawson Knox, people were on Dalton Schultz, even though, in my opinion, they should have been picked up already. But Max Williams, I literally got for free. And Dodgers tonight, I think they're gonna win. And Justin Turner's my bomb call at plus 470 or 470. Yeah, 470 is his number. I'm putting 0.3 units on that. I like Justin Turner to homer tonight.
Get real quick, Gainwell Sanders, what is your opinion? Didn't we talk about this yesterday?
Yeah, Sanders is kind of dead because Gainwell's getting all the receiving work, or at least most of it.
But Gainwell,
and he's not throwing touchdowns either.
Gainwell is alive and thriving. Really good. I'd want Kenneth Gainwell over Miles Sanders right now. But appreciate y'all tapping in. We'll be back tomorrow. We out. Y'all have a good day. Peace.